This is the story of Barbara Tommey, age 27, the wife of a pastor who was shot 7 times by her pastor husband, Prophet Sylvester Ofori, aged 35. She made plans to leave the marriage after numerous domestic abuse and other irresponsible acts but ended dying before she could leave. Pastor Sylvester had made threats to her family members to kill her in the previous days if she dare leaves him.
Leave! We didn't come nothing. We came to
Can I promise you something?
Promise me.
If I don't kill your sister, then me, I am sick.
He actually went ahead with the threats by tracking her to work, then shooting her 7 times.
Video surveillance, which shows Mr. Ofori not only shoot his wife, but then stand over her body and put additional rounds into her head.
Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories. This story will be taking us to Orlando, Florida. Orlando, a city in Central Florida, is home to more than a dozen theme parks. Chief among its claims to fame is Walt Disney World, comprised of parks like the Magic Kingdom and Epcot, as well as water parks. Downtown Orlando is the central city of Central Florida. It includes iconic skyscrapers, entertainment centers, theaters, art galleries, shopping malls, and parks.
Several security cameras that caught the incident in its entirety. Will that video be made public at all? Will it be made available to us?
That decision is going to be well above my head and my pay grade, unfortunately. I would imagine you would want to direct that to Lieutenant Chisari. There was surveillance footage at the bank at the time, and we are in possession of that footage.
Barbara Tommey was born on the night of May 14, 1993, in Accra, Ghana, and moved to the United States with her family when she was young. She was described by her friends and relatives as a kind, loving, and hardworking person who had a bright future ahead of her. She worked as a branch manager at the Navy Federal Credit Union near the mall at Millennia in Orlando. She married Sylvester Ofori, a fellow Ghanaian, in 2015. Ofori was a pastor of Floodgates of Heaven International Ministries, a church based in Orlando. He was also active on social media, where he posted videos of his sermons and prophetic messages.
If the blood of mere Abel can cry, how much more the blood of Jesus? There is power in the blood. You are in November, you pass over. In October, you made it. Now you are in December. Can I speak to somebody? Look at somebody and say, I cannot die. Say, I cannot die. Then I will live to declare.
However, behind the scenes, their marriage was far from happy. According to Barbara's sister, Sophia Tommey, Barbara and Sylvester had marital problems and Sylvester was abusive towards his wife. He would beat her, choke her, and threaten her with guns. How did Barbara's relationship with Sylvester turn abusive? Barbara and Sylvester's relationship was not always abusive. According to some of their friends and acquaintances, they seemed to be a happy and loving couple when they first met and got married. They shared a common background, culture, and faith. They had a lavish wedding ceremony in Ghana and a honeymoon in Paris. They moved to Orlando and started their ministry together. However, over time, Sylvester's behavior changed. He became more controlling, possessive, and violent towards Barbara. He isolated her from her family and friends, who tried to intervene and help her. He monitored her phone calls, texts, emails, and social media accounts. He threatened to hurt her or himself if she ever left him. He physically harmed her and sexually coerced or forced her to do things she did not want to do. Barbara tried to cope with the abuse by rationalizing it, minimizing it, or blaming herself for it. She hoped that he would change and that their marriage would improve. She feared that leaving him would make him more angry or violent. She felt ashamed and embarrassed to admit that she was being abused by her husband because he was a pastor, but it was getting unbearable as time goes. However, after years of suffering, Barbara finally decided to end the relationship and file for divorce. She moved out of their home and stayed with Sophia. She also sought legal advice and counseling. She was determined to start a new life without Sylvester. Unfortunately, this decision triggered Sylvester's rage and jealousy. He had lost control over her. He stalked her, harassed her, and threatened her with death. Her family confronted him about how abusive he was to their sister, but that made him even lose it. He went ahead to make this comment saying, "If I don't kill your sister, then I'm fake."
Because I thought you were different. I don't like your family. Yes, I'm here to support
The same sister who the pastor told you that she was a witch.
Which pastor? Name that pastor. Name that pastor. Which pastor told me my sister's
The same sisters.
Which pastor? Name the pastor. Is it you? You are a pastor. You. You don't know whether you are not you are a pastor, my friend. We didn't come here for you. We did not come here for you. Don't let me hurt you. Leave. We didn't come here for you. We came to get something.
Can I promise you something?
Promise me.
If I don't kill your sister,
Then me, I am fake. You got the video, right?
Yeah, I got it.
I call the cops.
No,
No, call the cops, Jen. No.
Barbara, stop that.
Tanya, you don't play with threats like this. Jen, I'm calling the cops. No, you don't play with threats. Please call the cops. It should escalate. He's threatening you in front of me. He said he's going to kill you. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
All right, just make sure it's there so we can go. If that's it, let's go. Let's just get the hell out of here.
Is it it? Yeah. Okay.
Make sure it's, let's get out of here. We ain't coming here no more, Barbara. You lost all
You
this.
heard what he said?
Is there anything else you need to get? Barbara, we're done.
Whatever you want to get.
Yeah, we're done. You lost all this.
No, I'm gonna come back for it.
You gonna come back for what? No, it's okay. It's okay, Barbara. It's another debt that can be paid off. Debt is debt. You cannot replace debt with life, and vice versa. It's gone. This ain't yours no more. Imagine if you come here by yourself.
Even with us over here, he still attacked you. Fabian, don't play with these things.
Why is this a
You
joke to
may not
you?
want to have him arrested, but you have to make a
want
police
him.
report. You have to have a police report for future sake. The police need to make a report.
No, I'm going to use this so you can get a restraining order.
Yeah.
That comment will end up becoming true. On September 8th, around 9 a.m., Barbara arrived at her workplace with her brother, Kweku Perry. They parked their car in the lot and walked towards the entrance of the Navy Federal Credit Union building. As they were walking, Sylvester, who had been waiting for them in his car, got out and followed them. He was armed with a handgun and had a backpack with him. He approached Barbara from behind and called out her name. When she turned around, he shot her multiple times at close range. He then walked back to his car and drove away. The horrific incident was captured by a CCTV camera that was installed outside the building. The footage showed Sylvester shooting Barbara 7 times in the head, chest, and abdomen. It also showed Barbara falling to the ground and her brother running towards her to help her. Several bystanders who witnessed the shooting called 911 and reported the incident. They also tried to assist Barbara and her brother until the paramedics arrived. Barbara was rushed to Orlando Regional Medical Center, where she was pronounced dead. The police arrived at the scene and secured the area. They collected evidence, including shell casings and Sylvester's backpack, which he had left behind. They also interviewed witnesses and obtained a description of Sylvester and his vehicle. The police then tracked down Sylvester's apartment, which was located about 15 minutes away from the crime scene. They surrounded the apartment and ordered him to surrender. Sylvester complied and came out of his apartment peacefully. He was arrested by the police without any resistance. He was taken to the Orange County Jail, where he was booked and charged with first-degree murder with a firearm.
Sylvester Ofori was very subdued and quiet while facing a judge this afternoon. He's accused of murdering his wife Barbara Tommey as she went to work at Navy Federal Credit Union on Tuesday morning. Prosecutors telling the judge today the killing was caught on video.
Video surveillance, which shows Mr. Ofori not only shoot his wife, but then stand over her body and put additional rounds into her head.
Ofori is pastor of this church, Floodgates of Heaven on Coburn Avenue in Orlando. No one answered the door here today, but on his Facebook page, Ofori calls himself a prophet.
He's got quite a social media following where he's, speaks to his followers and called himself a prophet, his followers.
After the shooting, police went to this apartment building on Raleigh Street where Ofori and Tommey had at one point lived together. Investigators say they brought the SWAT team and eventually found him in the home.
We had a good feeling that he was going to be in there. We don't believe there was any risk to the public or immediate danger to the public.
Police have not said what led up to the attack, but we are told Tommey and Ofori were getting a divorce. Court records also show that in 2016, Ofori was arrested for resisting an officer who responded to an argument between the two.
Someone committed a heinous act of violence towards a loved one, and there's unfortunately no excuse for that.
He was denied bond and held in custody until his next court appearance. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and other delays, his trial did not start until April 2023. The police also released the CCTV footage of the shooting to the public and the media during his trial. The footage went viral on social media and sparked outrage and condemnation from many people who knew or followed Sylvester online. The police have not revealed the exact motive behind the killing, but they have said that it was not a random act of violence but a domestic-related incident. According to Barbara's family, Sylvester was angry and jealous that Barbara wanted to divorce him and move on with her life. They said that he had threatened to kill her several times before. Another disturbing piece of evidence is Sylvester's Facebook posts prior to the killing. He had posted several messages that hinted at his violent intentions and his resentment towards Barbara. For example, on September 7th, he wrote, "One thing people gotta understand about extremely kind, nice, and loving people is that their other side is just as extreme." On August 11th, he wrote, "Don't believe your friend that is telling you he saw me with another woman." On July 23rd, he wrote, "You can never truly understand something until it actually happens to you." The killing of Barbara Tommey shocked and saddened many people who knew her. Many people expressed their condolences to her family and friends and condemned Sylvester for his heinous act. Some people also questioned how he could call himself a pastor and a prophet while committing such a crime. Barbara's family announced that they would bury her on September 26, 2020, in Orlando. They said that they were in deep pain and grief and that they hoped that justice would be served for Barbara. Sylvester's defense argued that he was mentally ill and suffered from delusions and paranoia. They claimed that he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time of the shooting. The jury deliberated for 2 hours and found Sylvester guilty of first-degree murder with a firearm. The judge then sentenced him to death by lethal injection, as per Florida law for capital crimes. Sylvester showed no emotion or remorse as he received his sentence. Barbara's family and friends expressed their relief and satisfaction with the verdict and the sentence. They said that they hoped that Sylvester would face God's judgment for his crime. Our deepest condolence to the family of Barbara Tommey. May her soul continue to rest in peace. Thanks for watching. Please stay safe out there and I will see you in the next video.